Welcome to the Everything Podcast, and in this episode, I'm be covering something that I didn't think I'd be covering anytime soon, and that is because in this episode, I am recapping Superman, the first DC Studios film under James Gunn's and Peter Safran's DCU. Now, Superman was originally released on the 11th of July 2025, and I'm recording this episode just over a week later on the 21st of July 2025. But before I get on with my recap, here is the trailer for Superman.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah,
You'd let me interview you as Superman.
sure.
Ready?
Let's do it, Cronkite.
Superman.
Miss Lane.
Recently, you've come under a lot of fire for what some
it's
might.
a lot of
It's
fire.
a lot. Today, the Secretary of Defense said he was going to look into your actions. That's funny.
My actions? I stopped a war.
Maybe.
Not maybe. I did.
In effect, you illegally entered a country.
This is how you're gonna be?
I'm not the one being interviewed, Superman. Did you consult with the president?
No.
You seemingly acting as a representative of
I
the
wasn't
United States will
representing
cause
anybody
more
except for me.
problems around the world.
And doing good.
I would question myself in the same situation and consider the consequences.
People were going to die. Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Your choices, your actions. That's what makes you who you are. Superman. He's not a man. He's an it. Somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation. I will not accept that.
I cleaned your boots. I'll go get them for you.
You have a dog.
That was the trailer for Superman, and I'm showing you that because in this episode I'm recapping. Guess what? Superman. But before I get on to that, I'm just going to, and I don't tend to do this very often, but I am going to do it in this episode. This Superman is amazing. It is like hopeful. It's a beacon of hope. It is. I don't even know how to describe. It's just fun. There we are. That's how to describe it. It is like, to start off basically with this. I know we had Creature Commandos and yeah, and there's a few things because I actually managed not to get spoiled by anything, which was great as well. But kind of it is just. Now, I've watched Superman and Lois, so I do kind of know the story of Superman, and I've watched Man of Steel as well, so I do kind of have a rough idea. But it's this is quite different. So before this episode becomes half an hour long of me just gushing on how good this film is, let's get on with it. Here is my recap of Superman. 300 years ago, the first metahumans appeared on Earth. The DCU's Chapter 1 title, Gods and Monsters, is mentioned. 30 years ago, Superman was sent to Earth and adopted. 3 years ago, Clark announced himself as Superman. 3 weeks ago, Superman stopped Bravia invading Johanpa. They're not the easiest names, are they? 3 hours ago, the Hammer of Bravia attacked Superman in Metropolis, and 3 minutes ago, Superman lost his first ever battle. Superman is currently in the snow with a beat-up face. Superman summons Krypto and asks him to take him home. Krypto accidentally hurts Superman multiple times. Krypto agrees to take Superman home. Krypto drags Superman by his cape. Superman and Krypto return to the Fortress of Solitude. Multiple robots lift up Superman. Superman thanks these robots. A message from Superman's Kryptonian parents plays. One of the robots reveals what injuries Superman currently has. Superman absorbs some energy from a yellow sun. Superman screams. The engineer is reporting to someone. Superman refuses to keep resting. One of the robots reminds Superman what he has just faced. Superman tells Krypto and the robots off. Krypto continuously bites Superman. Superman flies. The engineer witnesses this and updates someone. We then have the Superman title sequence. Multiple people count something. Lex witnesses Superman fighting a creature. He is instructing how to fight Clark. Clark crashes into the ground. Lex celebrates. Multiple people check on Superman. The engineer has located the Fortress of Solitude. Lex asks the engineer to return to Luthor Corp. Someone helps Superman to his feet. The creature that fought Clark returns to Luthor Corp. This creature is known as Ultraman. Clark arrives at the Daily Planet. Perry mentions Clark being late again. Steve gives Clark some advice. Clark answers a call from his mum. Kat compliments Clark. Lois mentions Superman. Clark mentions his article. Lois and Jimmy discuss Superman and the Hammer of Boravia, I think. Clark mentions Superman. Clark compliments Superman. Lex introduces Ultraman and the engineer to multiple people. Lex names this group of people Planet Watch. Lex reveals his plan. One of the people Lex is talking to is Rick Flag Sr. Rick Flag Sr. last appeared in Creature Commandos. Lex refers to the Fortress of Solitude. Someone mentions Kryptonite. Lex is unable to convince these people. Lois... what am I up to? Oh, Lois returns home. Lois arms herself with a baseball bat. Clark mentions his and Lois's first date took place 3 months ago. Clark and Lois kiss. Clark mentions Jimmy. Lois knows that Clark is Superman. Clark agrees to Lois interviewing Superman. Lois interviews Superman. Superman mentions stopping a war. Superman attempts to explain his recent actions. Superman and Lois discuss the President Barovia. Superman and Lois disagree over the Barovian president. Superman compliments himself. Lois mentions the President of the US and the Secretary of State. Superman believes he only represents himself. Superman raises his voice during his interview with Lois. Lois mentions social media as well as Superman being an alien. Superman mentions Krypton and his parents. Superman refuses to answer one of Lois's questions. Lois reveals some of the social media hashtags involving Superman. Clark chooses to leave. Clark and Lois disagree. Lois believes she isn't good at relationships. Clark leaves. Lex, the engineer, and Eve arrive in Antarctica. They find and enter the Fortress of Solitude. The engineer destroys the robots and fights Krypto. Lex insults Superman. The engineer agrees with Lex. Steve and Perry discover something. Something is hurting the engineer. Steve and Perry set a creature free. Superman saves a dog. Superman uses his ice breath. Superman attacks the creature that was going to kill the dog. The creature can now breathe fire. Superman checks on everyone in a building. Superman avoids being set on fire repeatedly. Superman saves a woman. Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific appear. and attack this creature. Superman throws something at this creature. Mr. Terrific narrowly avoids being eaten by the creature multiple times. Superman updates Mr. Terrific. Green Lantern uses his powers repeatedly. Hawkgirl uses her weapon. Superman saves someone as well as a squirrel. Mr. Terrific seems to kill the creature which Superman is against. Lois discusses Clark with Cat. Green Lantern insults Superman. Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and Green Lantern name themselves the Justice Gang. A fake news article about Superman appears with Lex appearing on the talk show, accusing Superman of exactly the same thing. Lex has manipulated Superman's biological parents' message. Someone throws something at Superman. Lex mentions his fear. The Justice Gang check on Superman. Green Lantern uses his powers so that he and the other members of the Justice Gang can have a private conversation with Superman. Superman corrects Green Lantern. Mr. Terrific corrects Superman. Rick Flag Sr. questions the genuine nature of the footage Lex provided. The President of Barovia accuses Superman of multiple things. The President of Barovia reunites with Lex. One of the robots updates Superman. Superman mentions Lex. One of the robots dies. Superman calls out for Crypto. Superman confronts Lex. Superman flips Luthor's desk. Superman raises his voice at Lex. A news reporter insults Superman. Peacemaker insults Superman. More on Peacemaker later. Clark has missed 22 calls from his parents. Clark and Lois discuss Crypto. Lois gives Clark some hot chocolate. Lois checks in with Clark. Lois believes Clark. Clark and Lois apologize to each other. Clark names multiple bands. Clark reminds Lois of one of her previous comments. Clark insults Crypto. Clark plans on turning himself in. Lois hugs Clark. Clark tells Lois he loves her. Rick Flag Sr., the engineer and Ultraman, arrests Superman. Rick Flag Sr. introduces Superman to Planet Watch. Superman discovers where his prison is. Superman mentions Lex's obsession with him. Superman corrects Lex. Lex reveals he and Superman are currently in a pocket universe. Lex informs Superman that he shares a cell with Metamorpho, who is able to make kryptonite. Jimmy mentions Superman. Lois mentions Lex. Lois corrects Jimmy. Lois believes she has worked out part of Lex's plan. Lois insults Jimmy. Jimmy informs Lois where Lex is holding Superman. Lois and Jimmy admit to their love for each other. Superman discovers where Crypto is currently being held. Lex reveals he would have already killed Superman if the decision was down to him. Someone compliments Jimmy. Jimmy's source is Eve. Eve mentions Jimmy's mum. Jimmy compliments Eve. Eve agrees to keep updating Jimmy on Lex's actions. Metamorpho asks Superman to not talk to him. Guy considers himself the leader of the Justice Gang. Lois visits the Justice Gang. Guy reveals Superman's true identity to Clark. That's not right. Reveals Superman's true identity to Lois. Lois mentions Superman. Mr. Terrific informs Lois and the other members of the Justice Gang where he believes Superman is. Mr. Terrific reveals he has put nanobots into Superman's blood. Hawkgirl agrees with Guy. Lois insults Guy's haircut. Lois storms out. Mr. Terrific agrees to help Lois. Mr. Terrific knows that Lois is Clark's girlfriend. Lois mentions Clark. Mr. Terrific believes he is not good with emotions. Lex questions Superman whilst pointing a gun at someone. Lex kills this person. Superman screams. Lex mentions Lois and Clark. Lois and Mr. Terrific arrive where they believe Superman is being held. Multiple people shoot at Mr. Terrific and Lois. Mr. Terrific protects Lois whilst fighting multiple people. Lois swears. Mr. Terrific insults Lex. Mr. Terrific reveals why he agreed to help Lex. Metamorpho makes the kryptonite disappear. Mr. Terrific corrects Lois. Metamorpho attempts to help Superman heal. The other prisoners attempt to expose Superman and Metamorpho. Superman returns to full strength. Superman reunites Metamorpho with his son. Superman saves Crypto. Crypto repeatedly licks Superman. Multiple people attack Superman whilst he is holding Metamorpho's son. Crypto helps Superman. Metamorpho saves himself. Mr. Terrific discovers Crypto. Superman asks for Crypto's help. Metamorpho rescues Superman. Superman rescues Crypto. Mr. Terrific and Lois have located Superman, Crypto, Metamorpho, and Metamorpho's son. Metamorpho thanks Superman. Superman and Lois reunite. Metamorpho notices that Superman is currently suffering from kryptonite poisoning. Mr. Terrific allows Lois to fight his fly his ship. Crypto is currently in Lois's way while she attempts to pilot Mr. Terrific's ship. Lex screams and destroys something. Lex insults Eve. Lex questions the engineer. Eve calls Jimmy. Jimmy agrees to have a weekend with Eve. Eve has sent something to Jimmy. Lex and Ultraman find Eve. Lois meets Clark's parents. Lois looks at Clark's bedroom. Lois mentions Mr. Terrific. Jimmy asks Lois to call him. Lois calls Jimmy. Lois compliments Eve. Lex and the engineer disagree. The engineer informs Lex of the consequences of his actions. Clark wakes up alongside Crypto. Clark watches Crypto play with some other animals. Clark's dad and Clark compliment Lois. Clark's dad gives Clark some advice. Clark's dad expresses his pride in Clark. Clark, Metamorpho and the Justice Gang learn of a global event. Multiple people chant for Superman. Mr. Terrific asks for Superman's help. The people of Metropolis are being ordered to evacuate. Superman is needed to be in 2 places at once. Lois and Jimmy update Perry on Lex's plan. Perry asks Lois, Jimmy, Steve and Kat and others to do multiple things. Lois mentions Mr. Terrific. Perry asks Jimmy to publish an article. Lois attempts to pilot Mr. Terrific's ship again. Buildings are being torn in half. Superman stops a falling building. Superman and Mr. Terrific reunite. Superman mentions Lex and Crypto. The engineer and Ultraman attack Mr. Terrific and Superman. Superman attempts to fight back. Superman uses heat vision. Superman attempts to get Ultraman and the engineer to be better people. Lex instructs the engineer to kill Superman. Superman has been completely taken over by a substance. Lex instructs Barovia to continue the invasion. Luthor Corp attempt to understand what Superman is attempting to do. The engineer and Ultraman catch up with Superman. Superman outsmarts Lex. Superman sees a clone of himself. Superman fights this clone. Lex explains how he made this clone. Lex believes brain beats brawn. The Justice Gang helps Duranpur. A Hawk Girl attacks the president of Barovia. The president of Barovia mentions Superman. Hawk Girl proves the president of Barovia wrong. Lex reveals his full plan to Superman. Lex mentions his envy in Einstein. Superman summons Crypto. Crypto attacks the clone of Superman. Superman asks Crypto to destroy multiple objects. Crypto obliges. Crypto helps Superman fight the Raptors. Superman sends his clone into a black hole. Mr. Terrific asks Superman to stop messing around. Superman attempts to defend himself. Superman attacks Lex. Mr. Terrific insults a Luthor Corp employee. Lex insults Superman. Superman corrects Lex. Crypto attacks Lex. Superman asks Crypto to stop. Mr. Terrific stops the rift. Everyone celebrates. Lex learns of the Daily Planet's article about him. Maxwell Lord appears. Everyone apologizes to Superman. Duranpur celebrate. Hawkgirl invites Metamorpho to join the Justice Gang. Rick Flag Sr. watches the news reports about Lex. Lex is arrested. Eve reunites with her parents. Crypto plays with some animals. Eve hugs Jimmy. Eve wants to be with Jimmy forever. Superman and Lois reunite. Superman offers to be interviewed by Lois. Clark and Lois kiss whilst they are flying. Lois informs Clark of her love for him. Perry knows that Clark and Lois are together. Supergirl appears. Kara and Crypto reunite. Crypto leaves with Kara. Clark watches images of him with his adopted parents. And that is my recap of Superman. The DCU will return very soon, actually, with Peacemaker Season 2, which releases, I think it's the 22nd of August, 2025. And Supergirl will return, presumably alongside Crypto, in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which releases in June. I can't remember the exact date. June 2026. But before I go, I'm actually going to tell you what you can look forward to over the next few episodes. So there will be another Neighbours summary that will be of the episodes released between the 14th and the 17th of July 2025. I'll be recapping another Big Finish podcast episode, and you will also have all my recaps of The Fugitive Doctor, Dead or Alive. Those are what's coming up. Back to this episode. Let me know what you thought of Superman if you watched it. My recap, if you didn't, you can put your thoughts on both of those in the comments below, as well as anything else you want to cover the channel, such as any previews or recaps. Put those in the comments below as well. Remember, you can also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. Just a reminder that the podcast releases 2 episodes every single day nowadays, with the first episode releasing at 11 a.m. GMT and the second episode releasing at 3 p.m. GMT. And I will see you in a future episode of the podcast. Goodbye.